All right, let's dive right into this deep dive tutorial on the Finmagine Chrome extension. If you're someone who's spent hours just staring at dense financial tables, you're about to see how this tool can completely change the game for your research workflow.
You know the feeling, right? You land on a financial website, all set to do some analysis, and you're just hit with this wall of numbers. It's flat, it's dense, and trying to pull any real insight out of it is a totally manual and honestly pretty boring process.
But what if, with just a click, you could turn that into, well, this? On the left, that's the old way, the dense table. On the right, that's the Finmagine way. We're talking dynamic, interactive charts that pop up right where you're doing your research. No new tabs, no extra work.
So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through a complete analytical workflow, moving tab by tab through the extension. You'll see how each part logically builds on the last, taking us from a bird's eye view all the way down to a final valuation verdict.
So what is Finmagine at its core? Well, think of it as a 5-part analytical dashboard built to make your entire investment research process smoother and faster right inside your browser.
Now, here's a really important point. This extension doesn't replace great sites like Screener.in. Nope, it works with them. It seamlessly adds this powerful new analytical layer right on top of the data you're already looking at. It almost feels like it was part of the website all along.
Let's kick things off with the very first tab, Charts. This is your starting part. It's all about getting that high-level, visual snapshot of how a company has been performing over time. And using it could not be simpler. As you scroll down the page to the financial tables, the P&L, the balance sheet, whatever, you just start clicking the little checkboxes next to the metrics you're interested in, and bam, instantly they're plotted right there on the chart above the table. And this thing is packed with some seriously powerful features. You can plot up to 10 different metrics at the same time. The tool is also super smart. It automatically uses bar charts for things like sales and line charts for percentages, like operating profit margin. But the best part, it remembers what you picked. So if you always like to compare, say, sales, borrowings, and ROCE, it'll automatically plot those for the next company you look at. That saves a ton of clicks.
Okay, so you've got your charts, you have that visual overview. The next logical step, right, is to get a quick, data-driven opinion on the company. And for that, we're going to hop over to the Quick Analysis tab.
Think of this tab as your instant financial health check. Right in the middle, you get a big score from 0 to 100. Over on the left, it pulls out the company's key strengths and growth rates, and on the right, you get a detailed trend analysis. It's literally a complete summary on one screen. So what does that score actually mean? Well, it's pretty straightforward. Anything above 80, you're looking at an excellent company. 65 to 79 is solid, but if you see a score down below 35, that's a red flag. It's telling you there might be some major financial stress here, and you should definitely dig deeper. It just gives you a consistent way to quickly sort companies. Okay, so we've got our health score. The next big question is, why? Why did that company get a 63 and not, say, an 83? To answer that, we've got to pop the hood and look at the engine, the core financial ratios. Now this tab, this is where things get really insightful. It calculates over 11 key financial ratios for you right from the data on the page, and it neatly groups them into 3 buckets: solvency, profitability, and efficiency. Better yet, each ratio gets an instant rating, so you can see exactly where a company is strong and where it might be struggling. It's really important to get the difference between this tab and the last one. Quick Analysis gives you that final pre-calculated score. But this tab, Calculated Ratios, it shows you the math. It builds the ratios from scratch, right in front of you, showing you the why behind that score. And since it calculates on the fly, it works for literally any company on the site. And down at the bottom of this tab is a real powerhouse feature, the DuPont analysis. This breaks down return on equity, or ROE, into its 3 key parts: net profit margin, which is basically how profitable it is, asset turnover, which is how efficiently it uses its stuff, and the equity multiplier, which is its financial leverage. This answers a crucial question. Is this company profitable because of great margins, or because it's just really efficient? Or is it taking on a lot of debt? That's a huge distinction.
All right, up to this point, we've been all about the company's fundamental health. Now, in tab 4, we're going to switch gears. We're bringing the stock market into the picture to ask a huge question. Does the stock's price actually make sense, given the company's performance?
This tab uses this really simple but brilliant badge system. It compares just 2 things: the 5-year growth rate of the stock price against the 5-year profit growth. If profits are growing faster than the stock price, you get this green catching up badge, a little hint that it might be undervalued. But if the price is getting way ahead of the profits, you get a red running ahead badge, which is a clear warning sign.
And here we can see this in action. Look at Interglobe Aviation on the left. Its profit has grown 53%, but the stock price has only grown 25%. So boom, it's catching up. Now look at Vedanta on the right. The stock price is up 31%, but profits have only grown a measly 2%. It's clearly running ahead. This just instantly flags potential opportunities and, potential risks.
And that brings us to the final piece of our analytical puzzle. We've looked at the fundamentals, we've compared price to growth. Now, in the Valuation tab, we're going to answer the million-dollar question. Is this stock cheap or expensive today compared to its own history?
The real magic of this tab is its historical context. It looks at key valuation numbers, like the PE ratio and price to book, and compares where they are right now to their median or typical levels over the last 5 years. Then it puts all of that together and gives you a single, clear verdict: undervalued, fairly valued, or overvalued.
So you might be thinking, where does it get all that historical data from? Well, this is where the extension does something a little different. The first 4 tabs we looked at, they work entirely in your browser, just analyzing the numbers already on your screen. But for this Valuation tab, the extension makes what's called an API call. It securely reaches out and pulls 5 years of deep historical data directly from Screener.in servers. That's what makes this powerful historical comparison possible.
And what's really intelligent about this tab is that it's sector-aware. It knows you can't value a bank the same way you value a tech company. So, for example, when it's looking at a bank, it knows to give way more importance to the price-to-book ratio, while pretty much ignoring metrics like the PE ratio, because for a bank, that's not as meaningful. This kind of built-in smarts helps you avoid making some common mistakes.
So let's just step back and put it all together. You start with charts to get that visual gut check. Then, quick analysis gives you that instant health score. Calculated ratios tells you why the score is what it is. Price analysis checks if the market is paying attention to the company's growth. And finally, valuation gives you the verdict on whether the stock is cheap or expensive right now based on its own past. It's a complete, logical workflow from start to finish.
When you think about it, a tool like this really democratizes access to a professional-level way of analyzing stocks. And it leaves you with a really interesting thought. What happens when every single investor, from a total beginner to a seasoned pro, has a structured, powerful workflow like this built right into the websites they already use every day?